Welcome to the SafeSimpleSound podcast, where our approach to financial planning creates both and solutions for the contradictions families face every day. We believe you shouldn't have to choose between a secure tomorrow and a joyful today. Through our team's chartered financial consultant background and our S3 framework development, we are here to help you navigate the noise of the financial world with clarity and confidence. In today's episode, we are exploring a topic that often triggers a fight or flight response in even the most diligent savers: the math of maintenance. The core challenge we see families facing is a paralysis caused by complexity. You know you need to save for the future. You've been told you need a number. But when you try to calculate it, you hit a wall of spreadsheets, confusing jargon, and terrifying totals. This leads to a very common, very stressful contradiction that we hear in our practice constantly. I need to save a massive amount of money right now to be safe, but I simply cannot afford to save that much yet without ruining my current life. It feels like an impossible choice. Either you secure your future and live on rice and beans today, or you enjoy today and risk being destitute tomorrow. But looking through our S3 framework, safe, simple, and sound, we know that whenever we see a binary choice like that, we are missing the solution. The answer isn't either or, it is both and. In this episode, we are going to break down the actual mechanics of retirement math. We aren't going to bore you with calculus, but we are going to explain the difference between the traditional annuity method and what we call the serial payment approach. Whether you are in your early career trying to get started or mid-career feeling behind, this episode will give you the capability to understand how the math works so you can stop fighting against your budget and start working with your future income. By the end of our time together, you will understand why Napkin Math fails, how to bridge the gap between what you should save and what you can save, and how to integrate this plan into your life without abandoning your current happiness. Let's begin by dismantling the wall of complexity. When we look at financial planning through the lens of the simple, in Safe, Simple, Sound, we often find that the industry has made things intentionally complicated. Complexity creates dependency. If the math looks like hieroglyphics, you feel forced to hire a guide just to translate it. But our goal is capability, not dependency. Let's start with a foundational error we see frequently. We call it napkin math. This happens when a prudent, well-meaning individual sits down at the kitchen table and tries to use simple multiplication to solve a complex timeline problem. It usually sounds like this. Okay, I think I need $50,000 a year to live on in retirement. I expect to live for 20 years after I retire. So 50,000 times 20 is $1 million. I need to save $1 million. While the intention is good, it is safe to want to know the number. The method is not sound. Why? Because simple multiplication ignores the two most powerful forces in financial planning: inflation and investment growth. Inflation is the silent erosion of your purchasing power. That $50,000 you need today will likely cost $100,000 or more in 20 years just to buy the same groceries and pay the same heating bill. If you ignore inflation, you are planning to be poor. On the flip side, investment growth is the wind at your back. If you save $1 today, it doesn't stay $1. It grows. Napkin math ignores the fact that your money is working for you while you sleep. So to get a truly safe and sound answer, we need a structured approach. In the financial planning world, there is a standard method used by professionals. It is called the annuity method. Now, don't let the term scare you. In this context, annuity doesn't refer to an insurance product you buy. It refers to a mathematical concept of a series of payments. This is the textbook way to find your gap. Drawing from our CHFC background at Safe, Simple, Sound, let's break this down into 4 steps. Step 1 is determining the need. This isn't just picking a number out of thin air. We look for a wage replacement ratio. Typically, you need about 70 to 80% of your pre-retirement income to maintain your standard of living. Why not 100%? Well, when you retire, you stop saving for retirement. That's a big expense gone, your taxes might change, and hopefully your mortgage is paid off. From that number, we subtract reliable income like Social Security or a pension. What's left is your net annual shortfall. This is the gap your portfolio must fill. Step 2 is calculating the lump sum. This involves some heavy lifting with time value of money calculations, but the concept is simple. We ask, how big of a pile of money do you need on day one of retirement to generate that income for the rest of your life, accounting for inflation? Step 3 is subtracting current assets. We take what you have already saved, your 401k, your IRAs, and project what they will be worth when you retire. We subtract that future value from the big pile you need. Step 4 is finding the savings target. This is the final output. Based on the remaining gap, how much do you need to save every single year, starting now to hit that number? This method is sound because it is mathematically accurate. It accounts for inflation, it accounts for growth, it gives you a clear target. However, from a safe, simple, sound perspective, the annuity method has a major flaw. It creates a psychological hazard. The annuity method assumes you will save the same flat dollar amount every year from today until the day you retire. Think about that for a moment. Imagine you are 35 years old. The annuity method might spit out a number saying to reach your goal, you need to save $25,000 a year starting immediately. For a 35-year-old with a mortgage, young children, and daycare costs, saving $25,000 flat out might be mathematically correct, but it is practically impossible. This is where the safe element of our framework breaks down. When a family sees a savings target that looks impossible, they don't just shrug, they often freeze. They think, if I can't save the full $25,000, I'm failing. If I'm already failing, why bother saving anything? This leads to abandonment. They abandon the plan because the plan demanded perfection immediately. The traditional industry math sets a bar that is too high for the early years, ignoring the reality of how careers and human lives actually unfold. But there is a better way. This brings us to the core of our simple philosophy. We need a method that matches the math to your life, not your life to the math. We need a method that respects the constitutional principle of integration over abandonment. We call this the serial payment approach. The annuity method asks for a flat line of savings. The serial payment approach creates a staircase. In real life, your income is not flat. As you gain experience, earn promotions, and build your career, your income generally rises. Hopefully, it rises faster than inflation. The serial payment approach leverages this. It assumes that as your income grows, your ability to save grows with it. Instead of demanding $25,000 today, the serial payment calculation might say, okay, let's start at $14,000 this year. Next year, we will increase that by 3% or 4%. The year after, another 3%. Do you feel the difference in that? The tension drops. The safe feeling returns. By starting lower and committing to increases that match your inflation adjustments or raises, you are integrating the savings plan into your career growth. You aren't asked to starve today to feed the future. You are asked to grow into your obligation. This aligns perfectly with our thinking. We want stability. We want a plan that bends so it doesn't break. The serial payment method lowers the barrier to entry, making it easier to start now. And as we know in finance, starting now, even with a smaller amount, is the single most important factor in compounding growth. We've established that the flatline annuity method often creates a psychological barrier, while the serial payment approach offers a staircase that climbs alongside your career. But how does this actually look in practice? Please note that the following story is a fictional educational example designed to illustrate the application of safe, simple, sound principles. It is not a specific client account, but rather a composite of patterns we observe in our practice. The numbers used here are for illustrative purposes only to demonstrate the mechanics of the math. Let's imagine a fictional couple. We'll call them Alex and Jordan. They are in their mid-30s. They have 2 young children, a mortgage on a modest home, and they are feeling the pressure of what we often call the messy middle of financial life. Alex and Jordan come to the realization that they haven't saved enough for retirement. They sit down to do the math. First, they try the traditional annuity method approach. They calculate they need a nest egg of roughly $2 million by age 65 to maintain their lifestyle. Based on what they have saved so far, the calculator tells them they need to save $22,000 every single year, starting today, to hit that number. They look at their budget. Between daycare, the mortgage, and the rising cost of groceries, they have about $1,200 a month in surplus cash flow. That's $14,400 a year. The gap is glaring. They have $14,400. The math demands $22,000. In a traditional financial planning engagement, this is a moment of shame. The advisor might look at them and say, well, you need to cut your lifestyle. No more vacations, cheaper cars. You have to find that extra $600. This is the either-or trap. Either you suffer now or you fail later. But let's apply the S3 framework using the serial payment approach. We run the numbers again. This time we tell the calculator, Alex and Jordan can't do $22,000 today, but they are professionals. Their income will likely rise with inflation, probably around 3% to 5% a year. Let's assume they increase their savings by the same percentage annually. The math shifts. The calculator now says, okay, to reach that same $2 million goal, you don't need $22,000 today. You need to start with $15,000 this year and increase that contribution by roughly 4% each year. Suddenly, the conversation changes completely. $15,000 is almost exactly what they have available. The gap has virtually disappeared. They can start today. They don't have to sell the car. They don't have to cancel the family summer trip. They just have to commit that when they get a raise next year, a portion of it goes to savings rather than lifestyle creep. While this story of Alex and Jordan is fictional, it demonstrates exactly how our framework functions in the real world. Notice what happened here. We didn't change the goal. The destination remained the same $2 million. We didn't change the investment returns. We changed the shape of the path. From a SafeSimpleSound perspective, this provides the stability we look for. Safe. The couple no longer feels threatened by an impossible number. The anxiety is replaced by a plan. Simple. The instruction is clear. Save $150 to $150 a month this year. Next year, we bump it up slightly. Sound. The math holds up. By saving more in their peak earning years, their 50s, to make up for the lower savings in their 30s, the compounding still works. This example shows patterns we observe when families apply S3 thinking. When you remove the barrier of affordability, compliance goes up. People actually execute the plan because the plan feels livable. Now, there is one more layer to this that we need to address to be truly sound. In our hypothetical scenario, we assumed a smooth ride, but life is rarely a smooth line. What happens when life gets lumpy? Perhaps Alex and Jordan know that in 5 years, they will need a new roof. Or maybe in 15 years, they want to pay for a wedding. Or they have a dream trip planned for their 25th anniversary. Standard calculators and even the basic serial payment math often break when you throw in these massive one-time expenses. If you try to fund a wedding and your retirement out of the same monthly cash flow number, the math gets messy and stressful. Through our SafeSimpleSound practice, we've observed that the most effective approach is to separate these out. We treat uneven cash flows as mini-goals, distinct from your base retirement funding. We call this separating the maintenance, your daily life and retirement, from the moments, the big events. If Alex and Jordan need $15,000 for a roof in 5 years, we don't mix that into the retirement math. We set up a separate sinking fund. We calculate that need separately. Why? Because it keeps the retirement plan simple. If you mix everything into one pot and you spend $15,000 on a roof, it looks like your retirement plan just failed. It looks like a huge drop in assets. But if you have a separate roof fund, spending that money is a success, not a failure. You executed the plan. This compartmentalization is a key strategy. It prevents the panic that comes from seeing account balances drop. It allows you to enjoy the moments without worrying you are sacrificing the maintenance. Whether you are facing this exact scenario or something similar, the principle remains: integration. You are integrating the reality of lumpy expenses into your plan, rather than pretending they won't happen and then being surprised when they do. Before we move to our closing thoughts, it is important to note where these methods fit best in your life cycle. If you are in your early career, like our hypothetical Alex and Jordan, the serial payment method is your best friend. It is the tool that allows you to enter the market now. It leverages time. It forgives your lower current income because it bets on your future human capital. However, if you are in your late career, perhaps 5 or 10 years from retirement, the serial payment method is less effective. Why? Because you don't have decades of rising income left to leverage. In this stage, the annuity method actually provides a starker, safer reality check. It ensures you are truly catching up. From our team's perspective, this nuance is vital. There is no one-size-fits-all algorithm. There is only the sound application of the right tool for the right season of life. Understanding this math doesn't mean you have to do it by hand every day. It means you understand the levers. You know that saving a little more next year is just as powerful as saving a lot today. You stop viewing your budget as an enemy and start viewing your career growth as your partner. As we wrap up today's episode on the math of maintenance, let's revisit the core insights we've uncovered. We started with a common contradiction: the need to save a huge lump sum for safety versus the inability to afford it today. We solved this not by abandoning the goal, but by changing the method. We moved from the flatline pressure of the annuity method to the staircase stability of the serial payment approach. This aligns with our S3 definition of success. It is safe because it removes the paralysis of the impossible number. It is simple because it provides a clear, stepwise path that starts where you are today. It is sound because it uses the mathematical reality of inflation and income growth to secure your future. Most importantly, we discussed the principle of integration over abandonment. By separating your maintenance needs from your moment expenses, and by scaling your savings with your income, you integrate your financial plan into your actual life. You don't have to pause your life to fund your plan. So where do you go from here? If you are listening to this and thinking, this makes sense, but I still don't want to build the spreadsheet myself, we have good news. This episode draws from our recent blog post titled The Math of Maintenance, which you can find at SafeSimpleSound.com. In that post, we have provided 2 specific resources designed to help you integrate these concepts. First, through our S3 approach development, we've created the S3 Gap Calculator, Annuity versus Serial Payment Workbook. This is a downloadable tool that lets you run the 4-step method yourself. You can plug in your own numbers and compare the flat savings approach against the serial savings approach. You can see with your own eyes how the staircase method might lower your barrier to entry. Second, if you aren't sure if you are even emotionally ready to look at the numbers, we have created the Retirement Funding Readiness Scorecard. This is a quick assessment to check your confidence and alignment before you dive into the math. If today's S3 insights resonate with your family's situation, we invite you to explore what financial planning could look like through our SafeSimpleSound practice. We specialize in helping families navigate these contradictions with both and solutions. But even if you choose not to engage with our practice, we want you to walk away with value. You are now equipped with a capability, the knowledge that you don't have to be perfect today to be secure tomorrow. You know that the math is flexible, provided you are disciplined about growing with it. You have the permission to start small, as long as you commit to growing big. Thank you for listening to the Safe Simple Sound podcast. We look forward to being with you again soon as we continue to explore the principles of financial living.